Good evening. Welcome to another exciting episode of Communication Corner. I'm your host, Gail Lewis. Joining me tonight on Communication Corner, I've got three great Toastmasters. That's right, Toastmasters back in the house again from District 46 right here in New York City. I've got three Toastmasters on Communication Corner and talking Toastmasters, exactly what it is, what Toastmasters do they make a lot of toast and drink alcohol? Do they toast a lot of toast in their toasters? Well, we'll find out tonight. Joining me from left to right are first Raoul Yacinthe. Welcome, Raoul. And next to him, Nancy Garlick. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
And Melvin Garlick. Same last name. Any relation?
Yes. This is my wife.
Well, welcome all three. So we're going to talk Toastmasters tonight. Tonight, we're coming off of the District 46 Spring Conference right here in Queens, New York. Can you give me a little feel for exactly what happens at a spring conference?
There were several contests held during the past 6 months, and that's the culmination of it.
Okay.
First thing that you have the evaluation contest, and tomorrow morning we'll have the international speech contest.
Okay, so it's in two parts over an entire weekend.
Yes.
That's correct.
All right. And what exactly is Toastmasters? Melvin?
Well, Toastmasters is a public speaking organization and leadership organization. So it helps you with your speaking skills and leadership skills. There's a number of reasons why I got involved with Toastmasters. Well, I introduced my kids to it because I thought it would be a good leadership track for them.
Right.
I'm also speak in front of a large audience at times, and so I thought it would help me with my comedy career.
Okay. Oh, your comedy career.
Yes.
And you dragged your wife in as well?
Well, she follows me everywhere, and she's welcome to come.
So Melvin, Nancy Garlick, your wife, joined you at Toastmasters. How long have you guys been Toastmasters?
2.5 years.
And what's your home club?
Emerging Speakers of Elmont.
Emerging Speakers of Elmont,
Yes.
Elmont, Long Island.
Yes.
And when do you meet at Emerging Speakers?
We meet on Wednesdays. Usually it's the first and the third Wednesday, but it's at Elmont Library. And if you check the event calendar at Elmont Library, it will always be on a Wednesday, usually the first and third Wednesday.
Okay, and this goes out to all of you. Toastmasters is an international not-for-profit organization. Why should people join? You talked about leadership and public speaking, but that seems a little out there and vague. You know, concrete ways, how can this help you?
I feel that it helps my children because it helps them with interview skills. Toastmasters has an area called Table Topics, and Table Topics promotes impromptu speaking. And the more comfortable you become with impromptu speaking, the better your interview skills become and your critical thinking skills. So I feel that Toastmasters offers that facet of speaking and communicating, and it really helps young people.
Because when you go on a job interview, of course, it's impromptu. You never quite know what they're going to ask. So you can at least practice answering questions sort of on the fly.
Yes.
So how does impromptu speaking work in a regular Toastmasters meeting? So we're in a Toastmasters meeting, which is usually at a library or like your club, which is?
Well, I belong to Blue and Green and also Omni.
Okay, so Blue and Green, is that like their club, a community club?
No, Blue and Green is a closed club.
And that's right here in Queens?
Yes, it is. In Corona, New York, Rego Park, Corona. It's a closed club in the sense that only employees of my company can join that club.
But you also belong to an open club as well?
That's correct, yes.
And that's Omni?
Right, that's in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yes, in that club, anybody can join.
So if I'm at Omni or Emerging Speakers of Elmont or at Blue and Green right here in Queens, and they have a table topic session, what can I expect?
Well, the whole idea is you should be able to speak on any subject at any time. And if you cannot speak on that subject, you can easily go around it. But the idea is to be able to speak for at least a minute.
Okay.
For example, you might be asked question, how was the weather last year? If you don't want to talk about the weather, you can talk about something else. Or if they ask you a question that is not appropriate to you, that's the best way. You should be able to think about something else, talk about something else. But the whole idea is to be able to speak on any subject for at least a minute.
That sounds really daunting.
In addition, in my club, we took a penny. Different pennies have different years on it, and we asked the group to pull a penny out of the bag and tell us something about that year. And they had such a good time speaking about a penny and the year that was on it, and some of them were not even born within that year, and they were able to speak on that topic.
Now that sounds very difficult. 1 minute must seem like 1 hour.
Well, in the beginning it does. And one of the problems I love table topics because it teaches me impromptu speaking. I had a hard time doing that. And I talk in front of people and I use a lot of material. But when I run out of material or if I had to improv, I had a problem. And Toastmasters helped me and strengthened me in that point. And table topics was a good avenue for that.
Now, Melvin, you mentioned that you are a comedian?
Yes, I'm a stand-up comedian.
Tell us more about that.
Oh. Well, I started doing stand-up maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
You just seem so normal sitting here on the stage.
That's what all my friends said once I started. They all came to see me and they couldn't believe it. But I started, I'm the winner of March Madness Comedy Festival in Long Island of 2012.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And I started doing stand-up because I was looking for something else to do. And I fell in love with being on the stage. And it's something I thought about for many years, and I decided to put it into action, just like Toastmasters. And it's been a wonderful road for me. I performed all over. I performed in all the clubs on Long Island, in the city, and I'm working on a project now in Harlem, where I perform just about every other weekend on Wednesday.
Wow, that's exciting. So you write your own material as well?
Yes, I write all my material.
And Toastmasters helps you because you write your own speeches and...
Right, it helps me with the creative part of it. It helps me become more disciplined in writing material because as a comedian, you have to keep writing material and coming up with material. And Toastmasters work very well with that creative process.
Marrying all of those different genres together.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. So it just seems so diverse, Toastmasters. On one hand, we have a comedian. On another hand, we have someone who works for the Department of Environmental Protection.
That's
I mean, and yet you guys are still Toastmasters. This thread that kind of holds you guys all together is the thread of public speaking and leadership skills that you want to improve.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've been a member for how long, Raoul?
Within the next few months, I'll have 7 years.
Okay. And what originally drew you to Toastmasters?
I was pretty much very much introverted.
And it's funny that you say that. I have a difficult time believing that because you
Yes.
seem so outgoing.
Right, because that's a process that happened when I was joined Toastmasters. I had to go and teach. I knew my material very well, but I could not transfer it well enough. And then that was one way that one of my coworkers mentioned. How about joining Toastmasters and maybe you will improve your delivery speech? And that's what I did.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And Nancy, what brought you, other than your husband, and wanting your children, to bring your children in as well? Any personal reasons?
It was all for someone else. It's what I do as a mom, and just making sure that my children can get a job, because in our environment today, it's very difficult going out looking for a job and finding a career path, and it's the cream of the crop that get the jobs. So I wanted to make sure that my daughters are capable of interviewing well, and that is primarily the reason for me to join Toastmasters and teach them the skills that I learned while I was following my husband around.
And now you guys have only been Toastmasters for 2 years, and you're also founding members of your club.
Yes.
Tell us about what kind of process you had to go through to find that club, to found that club, and why would you want to establish a club in Elmont?
Well, you go ahead.
Well, I also saw that my children's friends were having the same problems in finding jobs. And so as I spoke to them when they came to my house, I asked them to come to the different groups. But young people are difficult. They don't want to travel. They need something a little closer to home. And so I went to the Elmont Library Board, and I spoke to the board about getting a Toastmasters program, and I worked with them, and within about 6 months I was able to get a program, but I had to show that I had people who were interested. So I continued to talk to people, and when I had gotten, I think, about 15 people, the board said yes.
Wow.
The board of directors at Elmont Library, and I thank them very much for that, because we have a beautiful space that we have our meetings at.
Very nice. So you guys all came to Toastmasters from different areas and for different reasons. What's next? Seeing that the Toastmasters year is coming to a close, it comes to a close in June, right? In June? July? July 1st?
June 30th.
June 30th.
Yes.
And then a new Toastmasters year starts on July 1st. So starting July 1st, will you guys take on different roles in Toastmasters?
Myself, no, because I already have a role right now. I'm the Vice President of Education in my club. Not that I will be taking a new role. It depends on what's needed. Because in my club, we might need one of the officers. Out of the 7 officers, I might fill one of those roles. So it depends if I'm needed or not. So as of right now, I don't know yet.
And I know that Toastmasters District 46 has 2 conferences right here in Queens every year, the Fall Conference and the Spring Conference. So we're just coming off of our Spring 2013 conference. And tell me a little bit about the Fall 2013 conference.
Well, the Fall Conference will be happening in November. And 2 days ago, I had a call, or at least an email, telling me that would I be interested in being the next conference chair. And in Toastmasters, we have the designation CC, Competent Communicator. So I started using that, saying for conference chair, when people were confused between conference chair and competent communicator, so I added an F to the front of it. So now it's FCC for Fall Conference Chair. So that will be my next role.
Okay, Fall Conference Chair.
Yes.
And this is all volunteer.
Yes, all volunteers.
So you're going to volunteer to coordinate a massive conference in Queens.
Yes.
What do you get out of that?
It's a lot, because you get the leadership, that's the leadership aspect of Toastmasters. By being able to coordinate such an event at work, I'll benefit from that, because it will be not necessarily a breeze, but I'll have the experience to be able to organize an event at work.
So those project management skills that you learn at Toastmasters, you'll just take them with you right into work.
That's correct.
That's really great.
Yes.
And you guys, do you have roles coming up for next year? Now that you're founding members of the Elmont Club.
We're founding members and mentors, and so our job is now to teach all our new members different roles and help them take on some leadership roles. But we'll still be in leadership roles come in July.
Okay.
And working towards that.
And you mentioned mentorship. Tell me a little bit about that, Nancy.
Well, we are mentoring actually about 17 new members that are totally new to Toastmasters. So they have to learn every aspect of the communication and the leadership track of Toastmasters and what it has to offer. And each one of them come to us with different needs. Some of them stutter. Some of them are speakers at the UN.
Oh, wow.
So we have a wide variety of people, but they all have needs. They write their needs down, and we try to meet those needs and help them to meet those needs.
And that's the role of a mentor.
And that's the role of a mentor.
Have you also served as a mentor, Raoul?
No, but in a sense, it's a almost give and take, because it's a win-win situation. You have to be a mentor, because for you to have the first designation as a competent communicator, you must have mentored at least one member.
Okay.
So which means, yes, I've mentored, not recently, but yes, before when I was working on my CC, yes, I did mentor somebody. And that's what I mean by being, it's a win-win situation, because you help somebody, and in a sense, you're helping yourself.
Right.
Because beside earning the designation, but you're also benefiting from interacting with somebody.
Wow. And so you mentioned a few things I just want a little clarification on. You mentioned all of these letters, CC, CL, etc. I need an explanation. And also Nancy mentioned the leadership track and the communication track. So first let's start there, and then let's go into what all of these letters mean.
Okay.
Communication track versus leadership track.
On the communication track, speakers go out. They are capable of doing 10 speeches, and each speech is built on the other. And it's a building block in Toastmasters. It's a self-paced program, but one speech builds on the other, and the end result is that the speakers learn to stand up in front of an audience, give a speech with expression and with character. And at the end, they are persuading you and inspiring you to do something. And that's difficult to do.
So you mentioned 10 speeches. What kind of speeches are they? Are they
Well, your first speech is an icebreaker, so you're talking about yourself for 4 to 5 minutes.
kind of
it's
just
basically
breaking the ice,
breaking
literally?
the ice and introducing yourself.
And looking at your strengths.
Right.
Okay.
And
So
it's-
that's 4 to 5 minutes. So I'm sure it feels like 45
Right.
minutes when you're standing up there breaking the ice.
Raoul said it was 2 days.
It felt like 2 days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he's on safari for 2 days. You were out there for 45 minutes.
Right.
So you start with your icebreaker, and then there's 10 different speeches.
Right.
The first one is the icebreaker. The second one is organizing yourself. That means getting an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. The second speech is getting to the point. The third speech is vocal variety.
So you learn how to use your voice in
In
different
different
ways.
ways. And then
That's a great speech to have in the beginning, I would think.
absolutely. And then they have to learn to use gestures. They have to
Gesticulate. So what's
Yes.
Body language.
point
right.
with a purpose.
Oh, very nice. Try that again. Do that. Show us
Point
that one again.
with a purpose. Absolutely. And stand when you make movements, move with a purpose.
So point with a purpose, move with a purpose. What's the purpose?
It depends on what the speech is. So if I say, you are going to be the best you can be, I'm pointing at you at that point, showing that you're going to be the best that you can be.
Oh, nice. Okay. So
Yes.
added emphasis. Is
You
that
put emphasis on the word that you want the audience to feel. If you want them to have to imagine something,
Right.
then you tell them something about the sky being blue, but you're pointing up so that they recognize that that's the sky.
when you gesture like that? Do you find people, I guess, looking up and
It is our hope.
responding?
It's our hope that they see it,
Okay.
because we're saying the blue sky is lighting us up.
So it's an image in your mind that you're building.
Exactly.
Creating that
It's
image.
engaging.
Yes.
It's engaging the audience. And then we go on to teach them to build maybe research topics, and just right amount of research to hold your audience attention.
That's another great speech to learn in the very beginning, how to do research. It
Right.
seems like there's a whole generation of students and people who only know how to use Wikipedia. So
Right, exactly.
That's so true.
You might not be able to do that right away, because if you imagine somebody that does not want to speak,
Right.
if you ask them to do research, so now they're going to concentrate too much on the research. So research your topic is further down the line.
Right.
Because just like the icebreaker where you want the person to feel comfortable, and then the next step is just to go ahead and organize your speech, so which means you want the person to be able to have an introduction,
Right.
a body, and a conclusion.
Which seems so simple, but I think unless you've been taught that, it's not something you might come up with on your own.
Correct.
Right. And then there's sometimes people who haven't done it in a while,
Yeah.
and they're talking, maybe they forget,
Right.
but they come back and they introduce you, and you get back into it.
I think it's very interesting that having an introduction, a body, and conclusion, many people can do one of the three very well. They can introduce a topic really, really well, and maybe they have supporting facts, but they can't tie it up. Or they can have supporting facts and they can have a good conclusion, but they don't come out with a bang and get to the point, and it makes you wonder as you go down the line and you're speaking and they're speaking. So what Toastmasters is doing is honing that skill.
Putting all three skills together, I guess,
Together.
in one package.
Yes.
So you learn research, you learn how to organize your thoughts in those first 10 speeches. What else?
You also learn to use visual aids.
Oh, that's daunting. Tell me more about that. That sounds difficult.
Well, sometimes, I mean, one of my speeches, I came in and I did a speech, I think it was Black History Month, and I also had a poster, you know, just showing, and it just made a clear point. I was talking about the Tuskegee Airmen and Michael Jackson and just different figures that we recognized during Black History Month, but it was a poster with all of that, and it just brought it together and made the picture more clear. Just went home.
So is that the role of visual aids?
Yes.
Yes.
To, I guess,
It's-
reinforce?
It's sometimes if you have to present something visual, because the actual objective is getting familiar with visual aids. And that's the whole idea, because you don't want to have, most people now use PowerPoint.
Right.
If you're using PowerPoint and you're just letting the slides do the presentation for you, you have to be in control of that presentation. So it's not just you're pointing at the slides. You have to go ahead and do a presentation. So I would say the slide themselves would be to help you to do your presentation. Not necessarily that. You could have maybe a package,
Okay.
a flower, or some other way to describe something visual. So it's not just the speech now, it's something else that you're showing up with visual aids.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You see, clearly, Toastmasters, what it's doing for us is helping us communicate to the audience, not just in voice, but in action.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And Melvin, speaking of visual aids, you mentioned that you are, I just want to get some contact information for everyone. You are a stand-up comedian, so if we'd
Yes.
like to see you, where can we go for more information? Do you have a website?
I have a website. It's melgarlick.com. And all my dates, scheduled dates, my contact information, everything's on there, a few video clips.
Oh, great. So we can
Yes.
see you in action,
Yes.
being
Yes.
funny on
Yes.
stage.
Yes.
I like it. I'll check it out. Nancy Garlick, where can we get more information about this great Elmont Club?
Just go to www.elmontlibrary.org and search their event calendar.
And you'll find out when you guys are having your next meeting
Yes.
and the exact address of the Elmont Library.
Absolutely.
And Raoul,
Yes.
if we want more information about Blue and Green or about Omni, your
Yes.
club, where can we go for more information?
Pretty much we can go on the Omni website. The simplest way, numbers are easier. If you type http://5002
That's 5002.
.toastmastersclubs.org, it will bring up that website.
Okay, and that's Omni Talkers or?
No, Omni, just Omni TMC
Okay.
or Omni Toastmasters Club. But the simplest way to get to that site is to put the club number.
Okay.
And without the www, by the way, just the HTTP.
Okay, and of course you can always go to toastmasters.org and put in
Yes.
your zip code and get the club nearest to you.
Exactly.
correct.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that
Yes.
works for me, I think, best too.
Yes, it
And then
does.
there's the District 46 website. Does anyone know that?
It's
Yes.
District 46. It says
the-
www.district46.
As a matter of fact, that website is toastmasters46.org.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Toastmasters46.org.
Yes.
Okay, and that'll
Okay.
give you more information about the not-for-profit Toastmasters, and also specifically about our district here in Queens and New York City and Long Island and Westchester, and that's District 46. Closing thoughts about Toastmasters, guys?
Well, it's done a great thing for me. It gave me to help me out with stage presence and being improv tune and stuff like that. It's great. It's a great organization.
Nancy?
I would say any young person who is not a part of Toastmasters definitely should join Toastmaster, because Toastmasters have leaders. And if you want to be a leader, you want to be a manager, Toastmasters is the place to go.
And Raoul?
Yes, we covered a whole lot about the communication aspect, but yes, Toastmasters does have the leadership track, which is as important. And yes, by following a method that has been tested and proven really good, yes, Toastmasters is the way to go.
Okay. So Toastmasters District 46, thank you so much to my guests, Raoul Yacinthe, Nancy and Melvin Garlick, both of emerging speakers of Toastmasters, of Elmont. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to another exciting episode of Communication Corner Spotlight on District 46 Toastmasters. As always, I'm your host, Gail Lewis. You can always look me up online. Email me if you've got some questions, newday2010@yahoo.com. That's NEWDAY 2010@yahoo.com. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you back here real soon.
The simplest way, numbers are easier. If you type http://5002.
That's 5002.
.toastmastersclubs.org. It will bring up that website.
Okay, and that's Omni Talkers, or?
No, Omni, just Omni TMC or Omni Toastmasters Club. But the simplest way to get to that site is to put the club number.
Okay.
And without the www, by the way, just the HTTP.
Okay, and of course you can always go to toastmasters.org and put in your zip code and get the club nearest to you.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that works for me, I think, best too.
Yes, it
And then
does.
there's the District 46 website. Does anyone know that?
Like that website is toastmasters46.org.
Okay.
Oh,
Toastmasters46.org. Okay, and that'll give you more information about the not-for-profit Toastmasters, and also specifically about our district here in Queens and New York City and Long Island and Westchester, and that's District 46.